So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why I use glue to glue my fittings for my pond and water feature plumbing. So the main reason why I glue my fittings over using clamps and rubber boots and sort of like suction hose, it's for the durability. It's a lot more professional and it's a lot more durable. So as you can see, you know, with these particular fittings, they're glued into place. So once they've gone off, it's much better because they're actually solvent weld together. The reason why I came away from using suction hose and clamps and stuff was because over time, water can start to leak out unless you've got an absolute clean, crisp, the Jubilee clip is tightened down, you will get a little bit of seepage. And if you're putting that under the ground, it might be leaking under the ground and you might not know. It's just a constant drip, drip, drip. And you're just like, where is the pond leaking or what have you? It's just not good. And also, you know, you can compress these. So it completely puts back pressure on the pump and you're paying for that electricity, but you're not getting the water volume. So the main reason why I came away from that was using the glue. You've still got all the options. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's 10 times better because it's one pipe. If you want to split the pipe, so you know the argument would be, Mark, I want to be able to take my pump out of the skimmer, or I want to take the pump out of the plumbing. All I need to do is undo my Jubilee clip and then take that off and we're good to go, no problem. What you can get is you can get the unions, and this is solvent weld. You know, there's a solvent weld, you can solvent weld it into all of the other fittings. You can have solvent weld pipe coming off of here and you just basically glue those in, and then you can just undo a union and then you can take the pump out, no problem. Also, another is, how do you get the PVC pipe onto the pump? It just doesn't fit. So what I actually do is I actually use adapters, whether that's 2-inch or whether it's 1.5 inch on the pumps. And most of the pumps are 1.5 inch. This one here in my hand is 1.5 inch. And you just have the appropriate adapter for the application. So it's literally a case of you just thread that on. So the 1.5 inch thread is inside this solvent weld fitting, and as you saw, we can still remove it, no problem, using the union, and you can take the pump out of the skimmer or out of the pond, no problem. So the main reason why I use glue is for the durability and a professional look. There's a couple of different types of glue on the market. There's the blue hot glue, which is the contractor's #1 choice in America and my #1 choice. And also you've got the Weld-On, the wet and dry glue, which is a clear glue in the UK. And as you can see, you get a little bit of a swab on the end of a metal spike. And I prefer this applicator rather than the brush, just because when you're doing the pipe work, you can go round it, and rather than painting it on with a brush, you can just roll the swab around. And it's exactly the same with the blue glue. You get exactly the same, but it is blue. And because of the colour, you can actually tell whether you have glued a fitting. So let's just let's glue a couple of fittings now. So I always like to dry fit, and one of the main reasons why I like the blue glue is I dry fit stuff. And then what happens is it's a case of you start to dry fit, and then when you're gluing, and you might have 50 bits to glue up, you can't remember what you've glued and what you haven't glued. And when you're using the blue glue, you can see the join. So I've just noticed that there's a couple of burrs on this pipe. So what we need to do is we need to clean this burr up. And the reason why this has got a burr on it is because I've cut it with a multi-tool. So it's just a very simple process of running the craft knife around and just clean up the edges and just get rid of those perforations or burrs in the actual pipe. And this is the multi-tool that I cut this rigid pipe with. If I was cutting the flexible stuff, then I would actually use the pipe cutters, and then it's just literally a case of clamping down and cut the pipe with the pipe cutters. But when I'm using the rigid pipe, then I'm just literally using the multi-tool because it's a thicker wall. So let's glue this bit of pipe onto this union. It's just demonstration purposes, so I just thought I would just glue this in, or we could put it on a 45, that's probably easiest. So what you do is you clean off, make sure that there's nothing really in there. So let's say that there was a bit of dust or a bit of soil, a bit of water, just give it a bit of a clean up before you actually apply the glue. You don't need a primer with this glue, and you just literally just put an even coat on, and you don't want to use too much glue, otherwise it starts to drip, and it's as easy as that. With the blue glue, it's very easy for you to see that join. With the clear glue, let's glue this on the other side. It's exactly the same. You don't need the primer. So you can see one's clear and one's blue, and I prefer the blue glue because then you can see whether it is, you know, an even coat in there. With the clear glue, if you don't put enough on, you don't see that residue on the outside. And to be fair, both of them go off at a fairly even rate. The blue glue will actually go off a little bit slower, but it lasts a lot longer, and it's because it's a hot glue, it actually burns and melts into the plastic a lot better, so you don't have to scuff the edges to get the glue to adhere to the PVC pipe. So the title of this video was why do I glue my fittings, and we've talked about the difference between the clamps and the suction hose, and the main reason why I prefer the glue is it's much better finish and it's a much professional finish. It gives you a lot more scope as well. So once this has gone off, if you leave it 30 seconds, it's gone off enough, you can start to lightly backfill, but it does take 24 hours for it to go off 100%. There's a couple of different PVCs or PVC pipes out there. So this one here is the 50mm. So you've got 50mm flexible solvent weld, you get 50mm solvent straight or rigid. You also get 63mm, which is the 2-inch pipe. The 50mm is 1.5 inches, so you can have about 16,500 litres of water going through the 50mm pipe. And the 50mm pipe is our pipe of choice. Most applications we use the 50mm. We use the 63mm when we're pumping over 16,500 litres, and when you're pumping that amount of water, you haven't got many options. Yes, you can clamp stuff down, but there's a lot more pressure on the actual pipe. So glue in the fittings, and then it's just insurance. It's cheap insurance, really, better than a clamp. There's also a 32-inch, which is your inch. So you've got 32-inch, 50mm, 1.5 inches, 63, which is 2-inch, and then you've also got 25mm, which is 3/4 inch, and we use this mainly on decorative water features or return jets. And again, you get both the straight solvent weld or you get the flexible PVC solvent weld, and you get all the different types of fittings and valves and everything else. Put it in the comment section below if you've enjoyed this video. If you want any more information about pipe work or plumbing or anything, how do we do something, I'm more than gladly reply with a video or produce a piece of content for you. You know, it's like, Mark, how do you install a return jet?